How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Pritchard Pub.
Welcome to the pod.
Brrr.
Welcome to Monday Night's Pub. We're gonna have a party. Woo!
Are you ready?
There you go.
For those,
Boy.
Still lingering, apologies for the late start, but we'll go at it. We'll get going here.
We've
We'll do
got
what?
a Pence.
Right.
We've got Pences. We've got Kahunas. We've got McCoppins, and we've got Stormcrows.
No, he's McCoppin. We've got the look of the Irish.
We get the luck of the McCoppin. So how's everybody doing?
Oh,
Doing
just
good.
dandy.
Yes.
Feel
got
like
a
I'm being
spooky one tonight.
I know, it's all good. Just my it's funny, everybody has a mask and then my face, it just works the way it is.
Well, and McCoppin's too. And then Stormcrow has his darkness on darkness thing going, which also
That's his face. That's all that's really there.
Yep.
Seven.
That's actually his whole face.
These just smash the nose really bad, and they're not comfortable.
I'm kind of digging it.
Yeah, that happens.
You get what you pay for.
I feel at home.
They were super.
I might leave it on all the time.
You know, you guys, it just might work.
Yeah.
Whoa! Do you see that hole in the floor?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So we were talking about Ahsoka right before the stream. McCoppin.
Yeah, well, how it's a great show and how it really honors the originals and
and how Disney is about to buy out Hawaii pretty soon, and how all citizens need to comply with the rules and mandates of sucking Disney's cock forever and ever. As proof positive by this man right here.
Failed to capture its targeted audience and its fallback targeted audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite the success there.
Yep, we the young girl who was supposed to be falling in love with Star Wars as we speak. It's not working.
No.
And the Gen X father who grew up with the original hating on her. Yeah.
Still not working.
No.
Even the millennial here who grew up with Episode 6 as one of his favorite movies of all time to this day. Yeah, it's so disappointing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I will give it credit for delivering on a lot of things that have been set up over the years. As far as I mean, it could have been done better, but they brought back the space whales and they were delivering on a lot of the older stuff. You know what I mean? In ways, but it kind of turned into fan service in a way, and more kind of they had to do it, you know. What else are you gonna do?
Well, wait, AC, you're right. Andy, you're right, because what they did was they tried to do their own thing. It stopped working, and they realized we could just do fan service as a supplement to good storytelling.
Yeah.
And then Marvel's like, well, gosh, that's a good idea. Why don't we copy that?
Well, and they went all in on nostalgia too, with C-3PO and Anakin.
I think she's a good actress, and she's good in Mando, and I was just really disappointed with how fucking boring it is. Let's just call it's fucking boring.
Well, there's a reason for that too.
So. At first I was liking some of the Disney Star Wars shows, like season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. I would say they were good show. It was a good show with some bad parts, but it was enough to keep me interested. Then season 3 happened, and the Book of FEAT, and those were bad shows with occasional good moments. And after that, it's just been straight garbage, man.
I mean, the good moments in Boba Fett
too, compared to the sequel.
So I liked the Book of Boba too, but when they fired, why am I blanking on her name?
Gina
Carano. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm still angry about that. I will never get over it. It was over
such bullshit too. It was just a small opinion that was shared privately, and then
she retweeted something, and
that's right.
Really, who gives a shit? Because everyone else can spew their political shit, and she just she's on the other side of their, you know. And I really it's not like it was something that was completely wrong. Like, I mean, it was.
I think
like
everybody here has tweeted worse. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and
she
was
today.
She was my favorite character too. So they got rid of my favorite character.
Oh, and by the way, ever since they did that, they've been trying to like fill those shoes and failing.
No,
like,
well,
have you noticed how muscular all the new actresses keep progressively like trying to be?
Well, yeah, you believe it with her because she was a fighter. She knew how to carry herself, and she looked like a truck.
Yeah,
she
and
looked
she's
like
still
she could
hot.
go to.
That
too.
Pull off both.
The girl. Oh gosh.
She was.
Was
tough.
it in Mando?
Which one?
The last season of Mando. The one girl that they kept showing for no fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
What was?
Oh, the short-haired girl, the naval officer, whatever she was. That makes the scientist, and it gets him tortured or whatever.
Yeah, like what
that stupid storyline which went nowhere.
Yes.
I didn't even watch the last season. Like, what was she? The Rose of that season? Remember Rose from The Last Jedi?
Yeah, she's like
between this scientist and this military girl, and you think they're going to date. They go on a date, and the whole episode just them eat ice cream. It's stupid.
Yeah.
And then later, she turns him in for being like a former Empire clone officer, and they start torturing him. That's it. Like it went nowhere. Didn't touch the Mandalorian. It did nothing.
It had nothing to do with the Mandalorian.
I'm glad we got invested in these useless characters for the story that goes nowhere.
Why?
Yeah.
It's just weird filler, yo.
Yeah, world-class writing.
I just hope we're all able to at least emulate that quality in our own writing. No, way better than
at least.
I think my first freaking draft of a short story is better than anything I've seen in recent Star Wars. But holy crap!
Like, if you can't tell what your story is, like in one sentence, it's not a story. It's a meandering thought process. That's Ashoka. What's the story?
Yeah.
Well,
like,
it's about the Force and female empowerment, and like, just let me tell you guys, like, seriously, anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah. I will say though, Thrawn is actually kind of doing an all right job.
No,
he sounds like Thrawn.
No, they started off in Rebels, the kids TV show, and they did Thrawn well in that show.
So that dude's the voice.
Yeah, he was the voice of the cartoon.
Yeah, he was the voice, and so like it matches perfectly, honestly.
It does.
And then the actor looks just enough like
this side does, but like physically, he's kind of dumpy. Like I always thought Thrawn was like a buff dude.
So the only way it works is because there's been like a time jump,
and he's old as shit now.
Yeah. He's like an older dude now. But but
he's stupid now.
He's a little dumpy. Yeah.
So all he has to do is leave the planet, and he wins. He hasn't left the planet. Like, because
how are they going to
back in his luggage?
Yeah, how are they going to leave? Dude, you're right. That's a huge plot hole. That's a huge plot hole. Maybe he can't leave though, right? Because his ship looks salvaged a little bit. Like maybe he
he actually says, "Hey, I need to pack up to go" or something like that. And then
they're packing up their stuff basically.
We win at the end of the day because we've fully loaded enough to leave or whatever. That's right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's almost like the plot of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
They're just giant chasing it forever.
Everybody talks about The Rise of Skywalker and how shit that movie is, but The Last Jedi,
didn't even watch it.
I hate that. I hate that movie infinitely more.
The Last Jedi was so bad I didn't bother with the Skywalker one. So Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. There's a recurring problem with shiny on the surface.
Yes.
And no substance underneath, or the only substance is like some sort of agenda-driven nonsense.
Yeah,
my
closest friend, he's crazy smart, but he liked The Last Jedi. He liked the Rings of Power. I'm like, what do you like? Oh, it looks great. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
What else?
It was like,
when I went in there, I just like filled with him for a second. And he got
update.
really happy. So I'm gonna put him to bed.
Okay.
He wants to come.
Well, everybody will be here when you're ready.
Just put on The Last Jedi. He'll be asleep in 5 minutes.
You're horrified.
So shiny on the surface, nothing underneath. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that new Ninja Turtles movie, it looked fantastic.
Interesting. It looked interesting for sure.
Sure.
It did. When you see it in action too, the way it's animated, I'm like, okay, they clearly like are spending a lot of money, right? They're clearly
Like,
spending
right.
a lot of money.
Weren't they trying to make it look a little bit like claymation, but it's still like still digital?
It's kind of like and it comes off more like painting. It gives it kind of a comic booky vibe, and I see what they're going for. And while I was sitting through it, that is one thing I was able to take away from it at the times that I could, was the way it looked, and like the new Spider-Man movie, I feel like that could have been done a lot better. The Miles Morales movie, that is. Yeah.
Which one? The first? I thought the first. I didn't see the second one. The first one I thought was really cool.
Well, yeah,
I agree. That was pretty good.
Yeah, 100%. The second one also pretty good, but like they could have done it a lot better. Like there's like the exact choices that they made. It's like, why? When you could have like there's T-Rex Spider-Man. There's T-Rex Spider-Man. And in a world where there's T-Rex Spider-Man, these are the choices you made. You know what I mean?
It drug on way too long. A lot of like scenes where they're just looking out a window for like a minute and staring off into the rain. Like, come on,
and that's too bad because like the first one, I didn't agree with everything that went on in the first movie, but like it was so well done that I ignored any of the things, like any of the small things that kind of bothered me about it, and it was really well paced. And then the second one, let's drag it out, up the ideology, lower, like make poorer artistic decisions, and then.
And
which is too bad because I think there was like I think the second one had a story there somewhere. It just
it did, and it's divided into two movies. They're gonna make another movie, and to my original point, like it looked good. Like I was enjoying the scenes where there was action, you know what I mean, and like even when there wasn't, I see what they're doing, you know what I mean, and it's just like millions of dollars poured into like the animation, and it's such a huge thing when you compare it to other movies that cost $100 million at most,
right?
And it's like top of the line movie for $100 million, and then you compare it to a Disney movie, it's like $600 to $800 million. Like, whoa, what are you doing?
Well, it's like look at just the process of making that kind of movie in the US versus like Japan. They like to find like an individual who is a real artist. Like whether you like his movies or not, Makoto Shinkai, the man who directed Weathering with You and what was it? Your Name, a bunch of movies like that. He does most of the principal animation, a whole bunch of like the early.
We lost a Kahuna.
Yep.
All black. Off to the Shadow Realm with you, Jimbo.
Stormcrow, did you eat him?
Damn. He was making a good point. And he's gone completely. He's gone. There it is. Okay.
And he's gone.
Well. We got him back. Hold on. Boop.
Yep.
There we go.
Son of
Founder Kahuna.
We got holstered Kahunas is back.
Sorry,
still in
guys,
the Shadow Realm.
Sorry. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Am I here? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. I mean, you can't see me, but that's fine. Nothing to see here anyway. But yeah, no, like he's.
I just look like Stormcrow.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah,
you look a little like Stormcrow, buddy.
You guys see my legs? Yeah. Anyway. But anyway, like he's a real artist, and like basically they saw some of his individual projects and said, "Yeah, we'll give you some funding and some help, and like you do what you want to do." And he's done it for like 5 or 6 movies in a row, and none of them have been misses. And then you look over here, it's like write by committee, direct by committee.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, over here they let artists kind of do what they want and see what sells, basically.
Yeah,
and that's why we have good stories coming out of Japan, not here.
Well, it's classic Art of War, like don't micromanage your lieutenants. I don't know the exact phrasing from the Art of War, but it's like basically that. Don't like sit there and micromanage your lieutenants. You got to trust them. Everybody kind of has an agreed vision, and you just like cut them loose.
Let individuals in charge of smaller portions run their portions as well as they can. And if they don't work, they don't work. But if you're trying to micromanage everybody, you're not going to manage at all. And
the trick is choosing the right lieutenants, right? You put the right people in the right spot that love their job, right? Or whatever their task is, they love it. Then you don't have to micromanage them. You can just
I mean,
do
that's
what you want.
one method, or you can just kind of throw things in those slaughterhouse and see which ones survive too.
Yep.
If you're
Perfect.
competent, if there are competent people in charge, you can do that. But they
True.
do that now, and it doesn't work because we see.
Well,
it.
again, not here in the U.S. anyways.
No.
Problem is, once again, micromanagement.
Yep.
For sure.
And that's how you get up to that $600 million mark so quickly, like reshoots, etc.
So
True.
for those who have like finished their books, like Brian, you finished your book, Pritchard, you finished your book, Pence, you've written as well. How has your experience with editing and editors been? Like, have most of you gone with people you know, or have you guys reached out to strangers to try to help you with your kind of writing process?
So I hired an editor for my Paladin book. You guys know Precise Press. I used her. She did an excellent job. We talked back and forth for about 3 months as she worked through it. I've used DP Riley for some smaller work. There's some great editors out there. I think you got to decide what you want. Precise Press is not a fan of my Paladin book, which is good. It makes you very critical of the story. So I personally, that's how I go with editing. I know some people say you need a fan to make sure it flows as you're fan. But I think it's your beta readers for. Use the beta readers for the flow and the story. Get an editor who hates your work, that wants to tear out every single word and make it as short as possible for easier on them. So.
Yeah, I've talked with Katie a couple times. She's not shy about her opinions on anything, I don't think.
No.
And she'll find like one thing on a book, and she'll hate the whole book. Like
that's
where
wild.
Like a guy kissed a girl. I can't remember the exact scenario, but there's a relationship with the girl was underage, and she's like, "Nope, no, I don't want the book. I don't want anything to do with it." Like just killed it for her.
Yeah, I and some people are like that, man. It's like that's why I don't like. I love Berserk, but I don't recommend it to everybody. I have to get to know it first.
Right,
same kind of thing.
Yeah, some people have a hair trigger when it comes to taking them out of the story, and they want to be that immersed. I get it. Yeah, it's whatever.
Hey, look, I got maybe like 3 topics I can get into right now because I am exhausted. I have to work tomorrow.
Well, pick a topic, buddy.
All right, perfect. Well, let's see. I got 2 published authors right now. Well, 3, right? Pence, you are on.
Not published, not yet.
Oh,
okay.
Soon though.
I get to witness. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I can, if you send me an ARC copy, I'll rub it against my upper body. I
appreciate that
promotion for it. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Make sure you see the line.
It
rubs the lotion on its skin.
It rubs the pages on its skin.
There you go. Perfect.
Hell yeah.
Oh Christ.
What were you saying,
Sorry.
Go on.
You two beautiful gentlemen can help me out very immensely then, because one of the things that I'm worried about right now is, well, besides writing the damn book, that's just number 1. But number 2 is, that's step 1. That is step 1, correct. What is a way for it to be published and for it to keep selling decently? Not millions of dollars, that's just impossible, but just continuously knowing that it's growing an audience, if you know what I mean.
Well, I can speak the little experience I have on it, but then I'm going to toss it over to McCoppin because he is a more advanced author than me. I will completely disclaimer that. He is a much more successful and advanced author than I am. So just from my experience, I would say, if I understood the question correctly, of just basically steadily selling after you published, right? I have very little experience, but I would say from what I've learned, just make sure you do enough research and you do it big, right? You can never do it too big unless you're dumping money into it. Like there is like a fine line where you reach like your ceiling, so to speak. Like you don't want to like break the bank for something that just won't succeed. But that said, make sure you have all your elements together and do it big. Like try to appear on streams. Maybe drop a few bucks into advertising within like the first week, first day, maybe even just the first month or whatever. Whatever you got to do, just little bumps in the beginning. But your best friend early on is probably just going to be like word of mouth and persistence, just from what I've learned. And, you know, mine's not really sound the best, to be honest with you. I'm just trying everything. Don't be afraid to try stuff.
Well, like one small thing is like offering the hardback. Like both Brian and AC offer the hardback, and that's not a big deal for some people. But like in the Iron Age, where maybe I'd say 80% of it, 85% are all the only thing they offer physically is a soft cover. Having that option is pretty cool, honestly.
And it's free on Amazon.
Yeah.
I just upgraded my hardcover because of that. So, but anyway, McCoppin.
Yeah, to add on to what AC's saying, it's independent. If you're not going with a publisher, you're going independent. You got to do word of mouth. Streams like this. You got to go to events. You got to really build your social media presence, because ideally, as an independent author, you're selling yourself first. Yourself first. Once the story gets kind of known, then you're selling the story. So, and for me, my best-selling book is actually my nonfiction book. I don't publish. I don't promote it. I don't advertise it. But for whatever reason, my nonfiction book, which was the first book ever released, I get hundreds of KDP reads all the time. So I'm pulling in more money off just the KDP reads than I am off my other books, even my stuff I've ghostwritten. I don't know what it is, but something about some nonfiction IT book that people in India and Australia and Japan are reading my silly book through Amazon, and that sells more than anything else. So it's hard to say what will hit. I do know I was able to interview Will Wright, and Will Wright is probably like the third or fourth most successful independent author out there right now. He does the Cradle series. So if you ever look him up, he does an insane amount of sales off the Cradle series, and it's all through social media presence. And what my biggest takeaway from that interview was book A sells book B. So when he released the second book, he made book A free. And when book A was free, he sells hundreds of book B. So you have to book in the series.
Pretty much. That's what I've heard.
That's interesting. That is an interesting thing.
Nice. Okay. This is something more akin to. Just bear with me. I'm gonna get when I get tired, I get philosophical, but just bear with me, okay?
Yeah.
You two. How do you guys keep the tone consistent in your story? Like Pritchard and McCoppin, like I haven't read your books yet, but describe to me what kind of tone do you guys set with those kinds of books, you know, and how do you keep it consistent?
Oh, I'm excited for this. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to take it?
I can do a couple, because I got, like my romance novel I ghost wrote, vastly different tone than my Paladin books, and different than the children's book, and different than the nonfiction book. You got to first find what you're comfortable writing with. Then as far as a consistent tone, again, you need those beta readers. You need somebody you trust to read your chapters as you go through them and say, this doesn't sound right, or this sounds excellent. And ideally, like, it's somebody you're related to who's going to be honest with you and let you know when your work sucks.
Yeah, because then if there's a vulnerable moment in your writing, it's not too embarrassing, if that makes sense. Like, at least you can crack a joke with your brother or something. I mean, a lot of editors and agents and stuff will advise you to steer far away from family members and stuff. Like you were saying, find somebody who hates your writing. But at the same time, you kind of want a little of everything as far as beta readers. But yeah, family that you... Mainly it comes down to a human being that you can trust. Just somebody you can really trust. You know?
Understood. Okay.
Yeah,
but there's something to be said about strangers too.
Stay away from family, because your family will probably blow smoke up your ass.
Yeah.
But find the family,
or they'll hate it endlessly for no reason.
You're right.
It's one or the other. It's not. It's never. Yeah. Everyone in my family recently I let them read some of my work, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you need to like do this a lot more." I'm like, I mean, you're right, but I know it's garbage right now. Right now, it is straight garbage.
I'm sure it's good, buddy. You
I
know,
think I think the base is good. I think there are some good things there, but I need to work on descriptions. I've been told by 3 different people I need 3 different things. One of them said that I need better. He wants better descriptions of the characters, which is a little tricky to do in a short amount of time and be organic in a story. And then the other wanted more environmental description, and the other wanted something else. I was like, huh,
That'll happen.
that would beef up that whole. That would probably double the length of that story. Actually, I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Yep, that's actually how it does work. A lot of my drafts, I'll go back and reread it and stuff, and realize I missed this person description or this setting description or whatever. And like when you go back and you start filling out the meat of it like that a little bit more, it really adds some length. It's kind of impressive how that works sometimes.
I know my length is impressive. Wait. For any of you who haven't seen it, I did make an elephant video joke about that whole thing. It's nonsense, but it's fun.
Fun videos are fun. That's what the shorts section is for, right?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But Stormcrow, to your question about maintaining tone throughout.
Yeah, because
it helps to kind of have a vision early on.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. What were you saying?
Yeah, to give you an idea of what I'm trying to do with my first book, I don't think I have it in me to go all First Law or Game of Thrones out of the gate. The setting that Mind Flayer and I have, this is Mind Flayer's setting. This is just my characters that I've developed in the setting that he made for our tabletop. It's dark, it's depressing, grimdark, sci-fi, all that good stuff, right? But I don't know. I think I just decided, you know what? Instead of being so depressing, I'm just going to make it funny. I'm just going to make this into a dark comedy, and that comes down to the main character. The main character is from the first person perspective, right? And, if I do my job right, and hopefully I will, he is not at all acknowledging the situation he is in. He's a part of it, he's dealing with it, but he's not
it's not resonating with him.
No, it's not. He is in his own world, in his own quest, and hopefully the justification of wow, these people are doing these things to themselves to escape the reality they're in, and he's all like, man, these guys need to work out more. These guys need to find more healthy ways to spend their time. Masturbating, I heard that's good for you sometimes. You see,
burn calories.
That whole fish out of water thing can work. It's a little harder with a perspective character, and obviously, whenever you have a fish out of water kind of character, especially player for humor, you need a really good foil for that to work long term. I think, you need that one normal person who's somehow still involved with this person for that to kind of work.
He has 2 of them. He has 2 of them. One of them is more trauma bonding with him. That's his love interest. The other one, he uses him as a crash test dummy to design his mech suit. Literally, he puts him in a massive cheap suit prototype and just has him get run over by cars to see if he'll survive them.
Oh, I snapped his spine. Oh, all right. Well, that didn't work.
Exactly.
Back to the drawing board.
Exactly, and the main character's like, "Hey, Peter, my spine, it's kind of tingly. I think the armor is working. You might need to tweak a little bit more. And I have some ideas for maybe soda grenades. I just grab empty soda cans and fill up with bombs, and we throw them. Just the main character is, the backstory is depressing, but the way he is now is yeah, you know what? I got aliens to kill. We're 1 billion humans left on the Earth, but I think we can win. I'm confident. That's I'm afraid that the main character is going to turn a lot of people off because maybe the tone clash is just going to be so severe that you guys can be like, okay, if he's not taking this seriously, why should I? You know,
I understand what you're talking about. It's comedy horror. That's tricky. No matter what way you slice it, it's tricky. Like even when like Evil Dead and Army of Darkness was doing it, I'm sure they were sweating bullets. Like, are people gonna get it?
Well, how on which side of the line do they tend to lean more? Like some like Dead and Loving It, that's obviously way more like almost entirely comedy, almost no horror. But and then like you have others like Zombieland where it's like there is horror, but there's all like that one's a pretty good balance of like horror and comedy.
I have more thoughts on tone and some things you can do maybe to help.
Go ahead.
But I'm going to show some love to the chat really quick. I see Tim Allen's kicking around still.
Hell yeah, brother.
So check this out. He has a story stuck in his head. A few notes on it. Reimagining of the vampire werewolf wars, but having a more angelic demonic component to it. Which I could see that. Like vampires traditionally are demonic. Am I right, McCoppin? Vampires, it's like a demonic curse, right?
Yeah,
the
roots from zombie roots, but yeah.
Basically, yeah.
A lot of modern and older fiction with vampires, it's almost always satanic in some form or another.
Right.
But the thing is, werewolves kind of are too. So Well,
yeah. They're more of like a curse. And I could see a point of view where you kind of symbolize the werewolf as like a manifestation of life, because like the vampire is undead and the werewolf is almost too much alive, if that makes sense. He's like a beast.
Yeah, it's like it's not just one life; it's two lives in the one.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Instead of anti-life that vampires tend to symbolize.
And
this
he says,
smells,
what were you going to say?
This smells like a World of Darkness campaign. What Tim Allen's describing.
He says the werewolf aspect, if from the legend of the Livonia werewolf, if I'm pronouncing it right, which the confessed old man stated that he and his pack were warriors for God and chosen by him. The vampires are created by people offering up parts of their souls to a race of demons. I am dubbing vampire. The werewolf are chosen by Archangel Gabriel. So, okay, we were kind of right with designating the slots week.
So, McCoppin, I feel like you have something to add regarding angels giving people powers, and
a little bit. I think the only thing Tim needs to be careful about. The story sounds really cool, but the werewolf versus vampire, you're going to get some underworld vibes and maybe some Twilight vibes. So that's a line you got to walk there.
And
as cool as some of those stories are, there's a lot. It's been done a lot, so it really needs to be either well executed or very original for it to really fly modern day.
Yeah,
I'm not getting those vibes at all. You know, I'm getting this sounds like something Mind Flayer would have adored. You know, just a World of Darkness, good old fashioned werewolf versus vampire, and some angel meddling and demon meddling, you know?
Well, that's the thing about tropes is it's that saying good old fashioned, like it's comfortable, it's familiar. If you, there's nothing wrong with doing a good old fashioned vampire versus werewolf story. It's just you are going to get people who have this predisposition towards the greats, the quote unquote the greats, the big popular names or whatever. So I would suggest studying every trope you can, all the lore, and like the more you know about that and the more you understand it and make those tropes like a part of you, you can break the rules. And you can do some pretty amazing things with writing when you know the tropes so well that you can just dance around them. Like
for sure,
you can set up Prince Charming and pull the rug out on everybody in a tasteful way.
Oh yeah.
I think on his story too, the werewolf getting the powers from Gabriel, which is essentially getting it from God, he could really lean in on how dog is kind of man's best friend, kind of like German Shepherd up on the police side. I think he can have a lot of fun with that. Lean more to wear dogs instead of wear wolves. Maybe have fun with that.
Yeah. You could also have some of the characters maybe who were chosen maybe didn't want to be chosen, and therefore, if it's to them, it may feel more like a curse than a blessing, and you could play with that because some people like God chooses aren't. Yo, hey, Michael Harris, what's up, man? Sorry, squirrel brain.
China's all good.
Hey, Harris.
China.
From China.
He's the king of the yak. He's a yak killing king of China. That's how I know him.
He's gonna write a book while we're on the stream.
Yeah.
Have it published and everything.
The Eddie Hunter.
Dude, Michael Harris writes so damn fast. It's insane.
I think the reason why he's in China, he probably has an army of people he's hired to write for him or something. He's over there,
It's like his shop of writers are right next to like the cell phone hacking shop.
Yeah. I could see
Let's go, man.
assembly line writing over there.
Yeah.
So, Katie, now that you're here, and this is my final question for all you guys. Something that Daniel P. Riley said on Twitter that just piqued my interest, in a way I don't think anything ever had. Well, some things. He said, I can't remember well. I'm really tired, but he basically said, when certain writers, when you feel the beauty of everything they're trying to convey right in their books, and some specific authors having, what do you call it? That divine inspiration to write, like Tolkien. Do I even need to say anything about Tolkien? Just look at the man's history and who he was and everything that he was deep down, and it came through in his work. And Lewis and all these other authors and musicians, right? They have that divine or spiritual inspiration, right? My question is, do you think that the opposite of that can be true? If something good and pure can inspire you to write and create beautiful things like music and books like that, could you have something so disgusting within you or unholy that can inspire you to make something, in mockery of it, And And my fear is, listen, I do not want to be associated with Martin. All right, I respect the man's work. Martin, Game of Thrones.
Martin, yeah.
I want, if I were to be associated with anyone, I want it to be with Tolkien, because I'm more inclined with him. But at the same time, the subject matter I'm going to be dealing with, it's not at all what Tolkien would have written about. But that's not because, hopefully, it's not something because I have something ugly within me that's trying to get out. It's because, I just want to explore these topics a lot more, because maybe I'm not comfortable with them, but I'm just, I don't know.
Well, maybe that could be the reason why you want to explore it.
I don't.
True. I mean,
I don't necessarily believe that. I've even heard Andy say, and I've heard a lot of people say that they feel like they're channeling almost like a message from a higher power, like things that just come to them and they write it. I don't necessarily believe that. I think that's almost like a humble viewpoint where people sell themselves short and their creativity and things within themselves that they have, whether it's a natural gift or whatever you want to call it. I think that it is possible that they're channeling something else, though, in a way, but I don't necessarily think it's as easy as just I'm just receiving this message.
Well, I think it's kind of like our natural giftings. Like, God has given us all these natural things, and He gave us our creativity and our inclinations towards certain things. Like R.H. Snow talks about this a lot, and how it's like everybody has that story inside them, and they need to get it out and explore it and share it. And a lot of people don't.
So, the gift is from the higher power, not necessarily the message. in a way. But you know, like they talk about, like I've heard people say writer's block doesn't exist, where it absolutely does. Like you get into a funk, you run out of your energy or lose your train of thought or whatever it is, or you feel uninspired. But, you know, I think really good things when you're talking about like almost being fed from something like essentially evil or bad or disgusting or whatever. I think you can definitely turn that into something beautiful. A good example is a lot of metal music. Like beautiful messages, like for example, the song "The River" by Wade Jor. Give that a listen. That's obviously inspired by anger, but it's a really, really good song.
Catharsis.
It's yeah, exactly. It might be
What's it?
like angry in a sense, but it's very good and it's very relatable, and it can get people through some really, really hard times in
Definitely.
their life. You know.
Well, for sure. That's kind of like if there's a good metal song about love, those are some of my favorites just because it's usually not all like the country or like the other pop, like happy go lucky kind of thing. It's almost always like I feel a lot of turmoil about this, or it didn't work out, or I wish it was more like this. And it's always more like it's very passionate. And that's why I think metal is a great way to express some of those kind of emotions. Like it's the good and the bad mixed all
Yeah.
together.
And there's also really good like love songs, like Into the Dark by Parkway Drive is a good example of that. And it's ambiguous for, I mean, it could be about a husband or wife, it could be about a child, things like that. That's what makes really good music, when you can apply it to different situations where it's like, is this about drugs, is this about person, you know, things like that. And it takes a gift to be able to make music that way where it's really good. I'm really picky about my lyrics, you know. Andy does a good job of that,
well,
in my opinion.
On the subject of channeling a dark power versus like a good power, I think like the dark powers that you would be channeling or whatever are more in instances of like acts of pure evil, like murder, for example, because creativity is inherently, I think, and I mean creativity as in like literally creating something, like for example, like a baby. That's a beautiful miracle. You know what I mean? That's not like an evil act, right? It's a creation act. And I think like creating a song, even whatever, you know, just creating something is like not an evil act. It's just like the human intent that goes along with it. I think muddles it down, but you could view it in that way. And I think Tolkien mentions this, you know, like evil can never create, it can only corrupt.
Right.
And destroy. Yeah.
Destroy.
Yeah. Destroy and corrupt, if you want to.
Then there's the concept of the Jungian shadow self that you can kind of get into.
Like the whole Jordan Peterson kind of thing.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson talks a lot about it, but it's that aspect where you kind of have to embrace some of the evil aspects in order to have like strength to do good. The way he puts it is like a person who's not in tune with that violence and that darker self isn't kind. They aren't good. They're weak. And so you need that shadow self, that dark self, in order to be able to fight against the evil. It's the ability to control it is what makes you good, not having it.
Plus, like people who act like there are a lot of people who act like they don't have that part of themselves. Like we all have we all have a sinful nature, and to not acknowledge it is to give it more and more power.
Exactly.
Because the moment you're tempted, and there's little or no repercussion that you can foresee in that temptation, you'll take it.
Right.
Experienced, exactly. You know, I got divorced a couple years ago. I had to kind of go through all that whole thing myself, and finally starting to figure it out. But it's a rough time.
Yeah, we're always learning.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's hard because there's some things. Like, I don't necessarily 100% believe that good could not exist without evil. Like, there couldn't be some sort of pretty close to utopia. I think that's a cop-out for people to do evil in a way. But I also think that, you know, the good wouldn't be as good without the evil. You know, it wouldn't feel as good. Like, my relationship with Andy wouldn't feel as good if I hadn't been with horribly abusive people. You know, like, you know, it just, if I had been with, like, you know, a couple normal people, whatever, I really don't think I would love him as much as I do and appreciate him as much as I do. So,
For sure.
There's that, yeah.
So I think there's kind of like levels to things, but I don't think everything's necessarily, like, a lot of things are situational and a gray area, but some things are just like, that's evil. That's not evil.
Oh, there's clearly evil things. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who's really been around a truly malevolent person knows evil exists, or anyone who's done something that they are deeply, deeply ashamed of knows that evil exists because they have it.
They felt it. Yeah.
Has anyone ever walked by a stranger and felt their evil? Because that shit is wild. It's only happened to me a couple of times, and one time it was someone in another car, which was wild to me. But I've also like had times where I've gotten like an overwhelming, just horrible sense of dread, and then an ambulance will come around the corner and I'm like, no fucking way. And I get really like sad, like, oh, that's probably why I felt that. But I also believe that some people do have different levels of empathy or sensitivity to energy and such. But it's wild when that happens. Has anyone ever experienced stuff like that?
Yeah, I could talk more about that in another stream, just because it's a pretty broad subject with specific stories. But yeah, no, I definitely felt some of that. I imagine Brian has after reading his book, but I don't know for sure. So we could call you out, man.
Chiming in.
I was reading what Michael was saying here too.
It's good stuff here. He says a Christian teacher called Francis Schaeffer says God
Francis.
He's the ultimate creator. So we were talking about creation being like an act of good, right? Which we are made in his image, and we're sub-creators under the great creator. And basically the act of creation is acting in God's image, but we can pervert it towards, that's what I was saying about human, what did I say? Intent, human intent.
Yeah. You can say, I'm doing this for whatever reason.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because, all right, you guys ever heard of a book called 120 Days in Sodom?
120 Days in Saturn?
No.
Sodom.
But hold on, you guys, because Pence, were you going to say something about feeling that evil before?
I can just, no, I wasn't really going to talk too much about it. I did feel once with one person. Dude ended up making off somebody's car, so
wow.
Pretty much proved my point. So
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and maybe if he wasn't like, I don't know, pure evil or whatever, maybe you sensed like his intent or something. Like maybe he was just
there's something just completely flat wrong with that dude.
Okay, yeah.
It's like it's more than like an intuition, you know, but it's probably linked to that or
that's interesting.
Some kind of I don't know.
Well, we're more than just physical beings, and sometimes that stuff comes through. So
physical, what is physical? Our atoms aren't even touching.
I feel like spiritual is
technically
in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean,
I know it's true, but it irritates me.
Yeah, I know, right? You want to get even trippier, Kahuna? You can think of like your table and your chair, the stone in the earth, like rocks.
Mostly empty.
None of that is actually solid. It is just a different density of energy. It's all different densities of energy, really. Like,
bro, Trippy Full isn't here. We can't do this again.
I know. I gotta get Trippy on and just get Trippy, honestly.
Oh no, get Mind Flayer in here. He will school you so hard on.
Oh, that's
Trippy stream.
Tim Allen,
Yeah.
Tim says, I worked 11 years in the NYS Department of Corrections teaching inmates metal fabrication. So I definitely think you've been around some.
So Tim's not like the most metal guy ever. He's writing a metal book. He's got a metal job. His icon's a skull,
Metal
with armor
skull.
on it.
Metal fab shop.
Glad to have you here, Tim. And Michael, I mean, you guys are champs for. I know it's early for Michael, so he's almost cheating because he's probably sipping coffee.
He's having breakfast.
Yeah.
He's like watching the sunrise in the, it's a beautiful thing.
In the freaking,
he's sitting astride a panda bear.
Yeah.
Considering,
Okay, so there's a few things I wanted to get out on this stream. One was a story that I thought of after the fact. So Brian, when we did that stream and we were talking about good type of haunting or spiritual things to happen to us, I remembered something that happened to me when I think I was about 18. And I was driving late at night. I closed and then I had to pick up my paycheck when we still got, it was before direct deposit days. So I had to pick up my paper check the next day and I was worried I didn't have enough gas to get home or for sure not anywhere else the next morning. So I was pretty stressed out about that and literally running on empty, thinking I was about to run out of gas. And I wasn't thinking about it too hard, I'm let me just see if I can get home. And then on the freeway, there was someone on the side of the road and there was no one on the freeway. So there was a van with their hazards on, and I pulled over to see if they needed help. Like a smart young woman would. I've picked up hitchhikers a few times, but so it was an older couple and they were in their 70s and they had a flat tire and I asked if they wanted me to change it and they said, no, we have roadside assistance. So could you bring us to a gas station and we'll call? And I was like, yeah, of course. So they get in the car and I drive them to the gas station and they gave me $20 for gas. And even though I had no gas, I tried to not take it, but they insisted that I took it. So I was like, oh, thanks. It helps so much, whatever. So we get to the gas station and, what was it? Oh yeah. So I had to, there was a closed gas station on the next exit. So we had to, we're going south where I'm going home. That's where their car was. We had to go up to an exit, turn around to the other exit to an open gas station or some shit like that. Cause I know I had to pass their car on my way home again. So they were talking about how it was a rental car and looking back, I didn't see any luggage or anything. So I thought that was a little bit weird, when I thought about it later. But I remember the man went, and they were super nice, talking to me and everything. And then the man was calling on the payphone and stuff for the roadside stuff. And then I paid for my gas because it was where you could pump it and then go pay. And then I said something to the lady and she was right kind of nearby me when I was at the cashier. And I was like, thanks again, or some, whatever like that. And she just looked at me and I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then, I said, have a good night to the cashier. And they were kind of weird at me, but said, have a good night too. And then I left and I'm like, well, that was kind of weird because they were so nice, And then, so on the way back and mind you, I just left when they were just calling in AAA and they take forever to get anywhere. So anyway, when I went back home and past where their van was, there was no van the whole way. There was nothing. And I was like, did they even exist? And it really, really fucked with me for a while. So it makes me question my reality because I'm like, why would that lady not have answered me or acknowledged me? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what do you think? Do you think it's possible they didn't even exist? They were there to give me gas money? What the hell?
Even from my frame of reference, I come forward as a biblical Christian. That's biblical. Things happen. Creatures from both realms are permitted into our world. The Book of Job is about demons coming to our world, and a lot of books about angels. You may have met angels for all, or
that's what my mom said when I called her and
spiritual figures that have or had a purpose. you may not have been the purpose, or the purpose is not revealed to you yet that it's happened to you. You know, it's fun.
Yeah. No, it kind of, it didn't make me feel like uncomfortable, you know, but
right.
We've definitely, like, we've even seen so many videos that how do you fake that, you know? And I've had experiences in my life where I know I wasn't dreaming and I saw that, or that started to happen, you know. Like one time I was driving and I had a water bottle sitting there. I was on a smooth straight road and my water bottle just started doing this. Like, what the hell, dude?
Haunted road.
I was just like, well, I'm a little freaked out being the only car on this road, you know, at night.
I know last time we talked a lot, we shared a number of ghost stories, and you said you want to do another stream. I have one more I wanted to share with you if we want to do it tonight. So when I was 16,
I want to hear all of them.
My mom's family's from Pekin, Indiana. Pekin, Indiana has the longest continuous 4th of July celebration in the nation. They nonstop 4th of July parties all year.
So coffee over here.
I went there when I was 16 years old with my family to visit, and I met a girl at the celebration. And I walked around with her the whole time. Her name is Jasmine. My parents commented on how her clothing seemed to be very 1970s. And they said, well, it's the early 90s. People are kind of doing the 70s flashback thing. And, you know, I interacted with her. I talked to her. People witnessed her. I walked her home. She gave me a kiss in the cheek, and it was a great evening after the fireworks. I gave her the hotel phone number, and that night she called, and I talked to her on the hotel phone. The next day, I go to pick her up, and I remember the house. It was a dark blue house, had a blue picket fence. It was like 2 blocks right off the main street. I walk up there and knock on the door, and this old lady walks out. I was like, ma'am, I'm here to pick up Jasmine. We're supposed to walk around some more today for more celebrations. And it's July 5th. And she goes, Jasmine? I said, yeah, Jasmine Jinx. She goes, that's my grandmother's name.
Oh,
she died like 15 years ago.
Ooh.
My parents saw her.
I love it.
That story's fire, bro.
Really
That's a good story.
That's awesome.
There we go, guys. Sorry, I'm back.
So that's another example of a haunting and glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, or just a positive experience with the spiritual being, you know?
Yeah,
that too.
Yeah.
But
you didn't murder
some
me.
people would call it a glitch. But
she gave you a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah,
she liked you.
That's amazing.
That is awesome. I love it.
So before we get into more ghost stories of everyone's, I did want to talk about something that I did that I thought people were going to be mad about, but it got a really good reaction. We were on a casino cruise in Florida. And so everyone, like, you can't gamble or anything until you're 3 miles out. I believe it's 3 miles. Okay. So, like, everyone's just on the deck when you're taking off. And this lady, well, she was probably about my age, she unwrapped a Starburst and threw it at a seagull, like, to eat. And it went, like, over the railing. So I, like, ran and I scared the seagull away and, like, dipped under the railing, but, like, held on and, like, grabbed it. And I threw it away and I lost my entire shit on this lady. I was like, what is wrong with you? You're going to kill that seagull. And so I just, like, and she's like, calm down. I was just trying to get him fat. And I lost it. And people, like, came up to me and they were, like, patting me on the back and stuff and, like, high-fiving me. It was really funny. And that's when I realized that people in Florida really do take their wildlife seriously. Like, when that one dude jumped on a seagull, if you guys remember that in the news. He was, like, from, I want to say Pennsylvania or something, somewhere in the New England area, but he ended up getting arrested over it, like, back in his home state, because he jumped on a pelican. That's what it was. Did I say seagull? He jumped on, like, a pelican or something off of a dock, and people lost their minds.
Yeah, we like pelicans here. We don't like the seagulls, though. So as a boat owner, I really hate the seagulls. That's the number one pooper on my boat. So
no, I thought people
seagulls, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I thought people were gonna like this bitch, or, you know, because I just started this big confrontation, but everyone was all about it. And I felt like, oh yeah, I stood up for this bird and people loved it. That was some good times. Those
So-
casino cruises are weird, though.
Hopefully, Kahuna and Stormcrow make their way back out of the storm here.
Oh, hold on. Can we?
Oh yeah. Show some love to the chat.
Looked like Kahuna said he had to go.
Oh, he did. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, in the chat there.
Okay. Sounds good. Oh, I
Is this
see.
your past life you're talking about here?
Right. I told him I need to know more. He's like, "We'll come to Gilded, and I'll show you more."
Here's a PDF of it.
Yeah, dude. Hey,
I don't know that I would read that personally.
I saw Evil Dead. I know better than that.
I mean, like we've played with the Ouija board together.
Before we, oh, sorry, what?
I don't believe in any of it, so I don't care. I'll do anything.
Until you see,
I'll
some
just go
weird
straight
shit, man.
forward.
It gets really weird. It gets really weird.
We've straight up had it give us a number that was out of state when we were like 11 or 12. It was a psychic circle, so it was basically a Ouija board, but with like it had the elements and different things on there.
Okay.
And we called the number and asked for the name it gave us, and she was like, "Yeah, hold on," and we got scared and hung up. But like we've had weird stuff happen.
One time, so I got really weirded out because I was kind of like C.A.Pence, where I'm just like, whatever. But I didn't want to touch it just in case. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
Just there's that like slight hesitation.
I'm not there at all.
Well,
I'll go straight forward into whatever's haunted and just fuck it.
I didn't care when my friends brought it up. Is my point. So like they would be playing and stuff and freaking out, and I didn't know what to believe. And one day they're all just playing and I'm chilling, and I'm like, all right, tell you what, guys, I will ask it a question in my head, and you guys, I won't touch it at all. I'm just gonna ask a question in my head and say okay when I'm ready. Or not even actually. I didn't even give a verbal cue. I just like asked the question and it started moving and it answered the question right. And nobody knew what the hell it was saying, but I did. And I was just watching, and that was pretty wild to me that it could hear my thoughts and somehow make my friends' hands move. I don't know how that worked, but that was pretty weird to me. And seeing the damn oracle move by itself, like people lift their hands off and it keeps moving.
That happened to us when we were in our first apartment together.
I don't understand that either. So.
And also,
we'll check it out.
We tried with different people, and we realized that I had to be touching it, or his younger brother, Junior, had to be touching it, or it wouldn't move. So I honestly believe that it depends on, like, the person, if it'll move or not.
And who's there? Yeah.
Yeah, because it has to be able to channel through you somehow.
Yeah. And some people are more sensitive than others, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and I've done so many tarot readings, and you would be amazed at the random things that I'll say, and people are like, what? Or they'll come back and tell me some crazy stuff, and it's so exact,
Right.
Like, I don't like when people act like tarot's evil. It really upsets me. I read for a lot of Christians, and it's not evil at all. It's like, so God gave you a tool to, have better guidance, and you think that's evil? I don't know. That's not demonic at all. Like, or like Aleister Crowley is like a huge piece of shit, and he had tarot stuff.
He was just a huge piece of shit. It's not the
there was divination before. There was divination before Aleister Crowley, for sure.
Well,
and there are probably other Aleister Crowleys, but
there have been priests that are not good people. It's
humans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there will be people that use it wrong.
If you think about it, the only component you need for divination is random chance. It's kind of how spirit boxes work. Really, like just random chance. That's how you read the bones, right?
Like bones, runes.
Yep. You just get really comfortable with these objects or whatever your random chance thing is, and you basically work out your own system.
Yeah, he wasn't hack.
And then you can start seeing that when you like roll the dice, cast the bones, shuffle the deck, whatever. You know what I mean? you see the patterns and you have your own system worked out.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
You're okay over there, Brian? I can't.
Yeah. Listen to the story.
Fair enough. Just
You
on
kind
mine,
of
your
get like
screen's
me
freaking
when
out. I don't know if it's
like you
So
get
I
like
don't
the
know.
crazy
camera, I
eyes.
think.
No offense, but I know I get crazy eyes. Like my mother-in-law's like, "What the fuck are you looking at? Where you look so creepy?" I'm like, Jesus, I'm just reading something on the phone when we're video chatting.
Because she
yeah,
gets
I
all
get
like
I'll get
reading
it.
something.
Especially if I'm wearing makeup and like the eyeliner and stuff, and it just like highlights my eyes. I just like they look huge and like
I'm like
crazy person for sure. Yeah.
Right.
But you kind of had that look on your face where you looked almost angry.
No.
Well,
Just
for
my-
me, I don't know if it's
thing.
anyone else, but your screen's flickering for me, and then it just looked like you were just staring straight forwards. I didn't know if it froze.
Oh yeah, his screen, yeah.
Yeah.
My flickering.
Well, you're good now, from what I can see.
Pence kind of looks like Anders from In Flames a little bit.
In Flames. You get down with In Flames, Pence?
I've never listened to him.
Oh, here, yeah.
Oh, what?
At least I don't think I have.
You like metal?
Yeah.
His
That
last
hair?
name's screwed in.
Of course he does.
Oh, here, I'll find one.
Oh, he kind of does look like
I know, I'm telling you.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. So we got some stuff to share.
How do I show it?
Some art. Between the three of us, we got all three of us have some art to share here. So whoever wants to go first, I mean, I don't really care. We're just looking up Anders right now.
Okay. Here, let me see if I can figure this out. Let's see. I'm not even sure how to do it. I've never done this before.
I think you can, like what I do
How
is
do I show it?
you pull it up, make sure it's like view image there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and then here's what we'll do. Then we go over here. So here's what I'll just say verbally what I'm doing. I pull the image up like completely in another window, and then I come back here and I say present, share screen, and then it'll bring up like a list of all your windows, and you just pick the one that has the image or whatever you want to share in it, and then it pops up here.
I'm using mobile, so I don't know if that's different.
Oh, well, that's really small.
We can. Oh, that's just
Here. I'll find the bigger one.
Here.
Why is it like too big? What did I do?
You hit X.
Oh,
That's fine. But yeah, if you present your screen, we'll pull it up. Also, you know, is it going to be what you sent me on Twitter? I could also pull it up too.
Yeah, just do that for me.
All right.
That'll work.
We'll get this Anderson going too. I could do the same for you, McCoppin, as well, since I think you sent me in. So there's a lot of good images.
well, that one is small too. Why are they all so tiny?
People, I don't know. It's all random, you know. You never know what you're going to get on Google. That's a little bigger. That'll work. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You do it.
Okay.
I already forgot. Really good band though. With so many good albums.
All right. I'll have to check them out.
You can kind of see that, like, he looks like your brother or something.
I could dig it.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Yeah. Dude's a good vocalist.
Sweet.
Yeah. Let's see here.
I know I had a dude in Vegas say that I look like a drummer once for just completely randomly. That was hilarious.
Looked like what? Ew, what is
He
that?
said he just said I looked
that's
like a
his
drummer.
demon.
Oh,
my wife's
that one?
checking out. Yeah, my wife's checking out abortion.
Oh yeah, she's nasty. She's nasty. I got in a bit of trouble with that one. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
What
Mark
happened
Brooks trouble.
Oh yeah.
Basically, Mark Brooks and Comic Book L's both got wind of it and were showing and there's just a bunch of people getting grossed out by it, and
Oh,
it was a fun day. It was great.
that is pretty great.
And then I got compared to like Clive Barker and the guy who did Devilman. It's fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, it got attention on it, right?
It got attention.
And-
They were trying to hate on it, but I just saw accolades.
And McCoppin, to give you some context, it's a demon with the theme of abortion attached to it.
Yes.
So she has like I don't have it pulled up right now because I'm about to share his other.
So, like the
surprise
demons
image.
in the story associated with a sin of some sort, like just attached.
Not
to,
so
like,
much sins, but like the demons in my world, they're attached to emotions, and a lot of demons are attached to like really dark emotions. So,
have you checked
and this
out
one,
Chainsaw Man at all?
I have. It's good stuff. So kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, like fear becomes a ghost, basically, of some sort, like a demon.
To a degree. Also, like heavy influence from like 40K and Dragon Age, where a lot of that stuff comes from.
That's
very cool.
That's cool. Yeah, and so yeah, the image is disgusting. It's not. There's not like any nudity in it though. So
No.
I was kind of debating. I was like,
I wouldn't.
It
Don't.
might get away with it.
I doubt it.
We got one of his other dudes here though. This is Immolation, right?
Yep.
Oh, cool.
And,
did you draw this?
I did not. No, that's Don draws stuff on Twitter.
Okay. Very cool.
Does some good
I like
stuff,
the hoodie style.
Yep.
Is very cool.
I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
This dude's kind of go for the Unabomber.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oop, silence. All right, well. I'm not sure what's happening.
Oh,
maybe
you're good. No, she was just
Okay.
telling us something here.
Oh, fair enough. I just suddenly heard silence. I'm like, what's going on
Thank you
here?
for muting that, actually, in case.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah.
you're good. I figured you
Fair enough.
didn't want your like a random story. You just
Well, they could have all heard it, but I don't know. Now that we're having stalkers.
So you said immolation is tied to an emotion. It looks,
It's like kind of. It's not just an emotion for him. It's like literally burning people or burning things.
Oh, gotcha.
The fear of burning, essentially.
Yeah. Arson or just
arson
in general. Yeah.
Arson,
Destruction
all
with
that stuff.
fire.
Yes, exactly. All the emotions associated with that.
Okay. Oh, I kind of like where that's going. It like has a lot of different potentials there, like especially with the other example of abortion. Like that's like destruction of life, right? Like so.
Right.
I'm seeing kind of like a trend of destruction, which I can kind of get behind.
Fucking hoodie that Sug has.
Oh, that's cool. Music lives here, and it's Minnesota. I agree. Music does
Well,
live here.
And the interesting thing about that is because there's like another origin for demons as well within my books.
Mm-hmm.
So you got that origin essentially, and then you have the other origin of it's more of a religious one, because there's the Phoenician cycle is a big thing in my books. It's about the phoenix and the dragon fighting each other eternally.
Oh, that's cool.
And so what happened was in the last cycle, the dragon killed the phoenix with its fire. The phoenix burnt up.
Mm-hmm.
But the dragon was wounded and he crawled into the infernal realm where the demons come from. And a lot of people of the Phoenician faith believe that demons are just him dreaming and thinking while he's sleeping.
Ah, interesting. Like so, the demons are him.
They're an aspect of him.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
And he is sort of like a god of destruction, so that kind of fits what you were talking about.
So your protagonist is thrown into this world of demons and all this.
Pretty much. So her whole thing is she comes in the world. She wants to become a wizard, so she goes to Asden to become a wizard. But she comes across the demons as she gets there, and kind of gets involved in their whole plot.
Mm-hmm. And are they like top tier big bad boss guys, or are they just like low, or just these destruction demons? I'll call them, just for lack of knowledge of the
Revenant demons. These ones in particular.
Okay. Revenant demons.
Yes.
Are they like foot soldiers?
or are they like big?
These are, yes, they're operating under someone.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. Oh, we lost a headphone here.
Uh-oh.
McCoppin, you had one too. Now yours is a your story being adapted into a comic, right?
Yeah. So I've already released the cover and a couple sample pages, but this was the very first 2 pages of the comic of the actual story. Past all the intro stuff. So if you've read the book, this scene makes a lot of sense. You haven't read the book, it's what's going on. What's what I want for the comic reader who haven't read the book. I want this to grab them and pull them into the story.
When I pull it up here, will you be able to set the stage for us?
Sure.
Just give it back to me.
Here, I gotta. Oops, it's having me change my name. I didn't want to do that. There we go.
Yep.
So what are we looking at?
This is a 2-page spread here. So if you can visualize, there's a line down the middle there. This is the opening scene of the novel. The opening, 5 paragraphs, basically describes this vast desert and the figure in the church he's approaching. So this is kind of like the first page of the novel turned into live action here. So
that's sweet.
Yeah, we don't reveal who the character is. We just kind of follow him across the desert for a little bit as he approaches the town off in the distance, this dying town on the edge of a desert, and we don't know what time period it is. As you read through the story, it kind of gives you, it's this time period. Oh, it's this. So it's really unfolds slowly. So if you're enjoying a slow unfold of what's going on, and there are demonic essences, there are demons in this. So, and how our protagonists deal with these, the chapter kind of pulls you into that world. So this is the first part of that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it.
It has emotion to it, and so did yours, Pence. You could really see the rage with the fire demon there, and if I could,
did a fantastic job with that.
No, that was abortion. But even
I didn't
with
even see it.
Well, I'll show you off screen here. But even with abortion, you can really see her. I don't know, the intensity on her face. I'm loving the art that's going around lately. I feel like everything's really cranking up.
Is she choking someone with intestines? What was
that? That was an umbilical cord.
Oh, yeah, that's an umbilical cord.
Yeah. And she had a hook for her hand and stuff. It was awesome. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So this desert, it looks like not a normal desert.
No, it is. Normal desert.
It is? Okay.
It's big.
Okay.
It's a desert I've been to. I don't want to reveal too much.
Ooh.
So does this take place in our world, or is it like a fantasy version of the desert you've been to?
It's in our world. It's in our world, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Tell you what, I'm going to send you, AC, on Twitter, the original version of the comic, the first page. So you can kind of see the difference between this. This is the second artist I've hired. I'll send you what I got from the first artist and kind of see how much we've advanced since the first first attempt.
That is a big advance. Do you want me to pull this up, or?
Yeah. Go ahead and bring that up.
All right. So that's pretty crazy. Here, check this out. There we go.
Yeah. So the figure in the desert, how much?
Wow, yeah, that's huge jump in quality.
Day.
Telling the same story, but one frame, more emotion, more mystery.
I like the first one though too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like they both work. This I'll pull this one back up here.
I like the hands on that one.
Yeah. There's
Oh, that looks really cool.
Yeah, I like it. I like the.
Tell you what, let's do this.
I want to see.
Let me read the first 5 sentences that describe that scene. Let me do that for you. Was that abortion? I think
that was abortion. Uh-oh.
Got the accord.
All right, we're done for.
I gave a teaser there.
Yep.
Yeah. But I wanted to bring this up again really quick while McCoppin was getting his next thing ready here.
All right.
Those are really cool. Awesome, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving it.
So, Pence, if the aspects of rage and emotion are kind of like the baddies, are there a good version, good kind of entities that help our protagonists out, or at least in the world?
Not really. Pretty much, they're good people, and I mean, even there's a half demon. His name is Zep, who's actually like given a human soul at one point in time to sort of tame him as a demon. He kind of ends up being good, but that was because, well, I won't spoil too much, but he ends up being kind of good.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I look forward to reading that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I actually was telling Pence that you study demonology. Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, it was you. Okay.
I really got into it.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, it came up. Demon talk came up and stuff, and I was just like, I have to say something. It's probably a good conversation. In the making.
I like how you leaned into the Phoenician and the worshiping of the Phoenix. I like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it just seemed natural, so it kind of worked.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love when, what is it called? I don't know the right word. Not allegory, but parable. Is parable the right word?
Where it's like tell the message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think allegory probably fits what you're thinking. I'm not sure where you're going.
Yeah, like allegory, is that like where it's like an illusion of another story or something?
Yeah, basically something like that, where you're trying to send a message, but you're using certain images to show that message.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get all those words mixed up sometimes. I know I'm a writer.
It happens to us all.
I'm also an airhead. I'll share my.
I mean, I have to look up basic words sometimes, so don't feel too bad.
Hey,
how do we spell the?
There's a lot of words out there.
Really? Yeah. But there are words I know that I go, how do I spell this word? I should know this.
What's that new word that all the kids are saying these days? Gleezy? That's a hot dog?
Gleezy? Yeah,
Is
never
it
heard that
Gleezy
one.
or it's something
Glizzy.
glizzy? It's like a glizzy or something like that. They're trying to make hot dogs a different word, which I don't know why.
Wieners.
Probably because it's American, but I digress.
It happens.
Yeah. So I've been working on a new project called Spirit Animals. I spent the day world building. It's kind of like my take on like Pokemon, but like the more I built it, just the further away from that idea it got. Like basically the only like returning theme from Pokemon is basically just like animal friendship.
I have a question. Why is everyone putting any kind of random quote in front of a picture of Cillian Murphy lately? Like it's everywhere. Like what's the obsession?
Cillian Murphy has that face.
No, he doesn't. Like,
well, you can take any quote, turn it and put it in front of any picture of a celebrity or really any known figure, and then make it black and white.
Why are people doing it to him so much lately? I'm just confused.
I don't know. You make the image black and white though. You put any quote in front of it, and it works.
It's not a black and white image.
I know.
You're asking to put logic to the internet.
Yeah,
that's true.
I just want to know.
Don't know.
He was in Oppenheimer, right? Yeah, he was. That's probably
I think it's
why.
because Peaky Blinders got people obsessed with him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He just killed it with Oppenheimer.
I didn't watch that show.
But anyway, it got really far away from Pokemon. Actually, the further into it I got, and it's actually kind of like my full-blown magical world story is what it's kind of turning into. And
nice.
It's got all these themes of like friendship and like, love, really, and like,
right.
I am who I am, so I got all this symbolism in there too with like life and death, and
right.
I really want it to be like all ages material, preferably, but like not too childish. I'm kind of like,
right.
I don't want to like go too hard into that direction. It's not going to be like a kid's story by any means, but like I would like parents to be okay with just like not worrying about anything. The cover looks a little scary just because of the dog on it and stuff, but like you got to have like truly evil villains, right? And they got to be recognizably evil, and you got to look at like So I tried, and I really think this cover like captures like the elements I was kind of going for. Like it all means something. I chose the colors wisely, like for a specific reason, I guess, and all that. But here it is. I got the protagonist in the middle there. That's Zan Wolf, Zan. He's inspired by my son. Me and Katie have always talked how it'd be cool to have a story where it's kind of like Xander on Adventures with Our Two Dogs. So I figured out a way to do it. And it turned into a really cool idea, honestly. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
So what's that going on in the background there?
Oh, that is a big scary kraken with a skeleton man on top. That's about as much detail as I will give. I could use the proper terminology, but there might be spoilers there. On the surface, officially, I gotta say I use that because it just looks cool, bro. But there's 100%. It's a character, That's all stuff going on in the background of the story. But this is gonna be my free ongoing series on Substack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so cool. I'll have a reason to return to Substack regularly to catch up on this. I'll probably post some of my movie reviews on there too, because I'm basically gonna replace my movie review thread with video format.
Okay.
Probably still shoot to do it on Mondays, but yeah, that old thread I did reviewing movies and stuff, I'll probably just end up doing a stream and have somebody on and we'll just like discuss it or something. I don't know.
There you go. That'd be cool.
But yeah, I needed to get the Substack going more. So
yeah, that's something I need to do as well. I actually had an idea of what I was going to do with my Substack when I get to it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you have like two different factions within my world there. You have the Argent Tower, which pretty much controls magic, and they think they're the only ones that are allowed to use magic and whatnot. Then you have the Spell Seekers who are outside the tower who don't like that idea and pretty much are more wild about it. So I was actually going to have a Substack where you have each of them, and you would get like a newsletter from either faction depending on which one you picked.
Oh, sick. Yeah, I kind of like that idea of like they want to control magic. Like that's actually kind of like what my villain's up to here.
Right.
Yeah, for reasons, and it's more than just controlling it. He wants to. Well, dang, I shouldn't even say anymore because it's gonna be my free story, man. I don't want to say anymore.
Yeah, don't say too much.
Yeah, because I'll have fun writing it. So.
Of course.
But yeah, like I think the whole thing I'm running away with is like this is a kid, so you can kind of see. Okay, here I'll pull this up again. You can kind of see like, okay, so that's a skeleton man in the background. It's safe to assume that that's the antagonist, right?
Okay.
And then the protagonist here in the foreground is this kid. So it's like a really old dude, right? And like a really young kid, right? So you got that different. Okay, baby.
And you also rinse out this.
So you got that kind of like young and old, living and dead symbolism there. You got the black wolf and the yellow, the sandy dog,
right?
Opposite colors. Everything is kind of opposite, and for good reason.
The whole yin and yang thing.
Yeah, even with the feathers, there's the blue and the red. The heart is like a symbol of like love, but if you look closely at this heart, it's really jagged and kind of rough looking.
Right.
Kind of splattery. So, but yeah, I handled all that with care. But this kid here is going to go through a lot of stuff. He refuses to kill people. He's not going to kill anybody. He's not going to kill anybody. And that's going to blow the villains away, I think. I think that'll be good moral lessons there for like kids. Like he doesn't have to kill anybody. He's going to make them learn something. Because there's truly evil people out there that need to be fought. And, I don't know. I haven't thought so far ahead as to say, in a situation where this kid might have to kill somebody. But like I said, it's more of like going towards all ages stuff. So like hopefully I don't write myself into that kind of hole. And if that time comes, I can just refer to my basic rules that I've written, and one of the first ones is he refuses to kill people. So I'll figure it out.
And you have to challenge yourself to figure out how to work that out.
Yeah, that'll be the fun of it. Even writing the outline for the first 2 episodes, I was like, I was starting to kind of get carried away in like my Mortal Descent like mindset. It's like, okay, back up a little bit, hit the brakes. No, this happens instead. How about that? Nobody's dying. But yeah, I'm happy to share that. You guys' stuff is pretty awesome.
So was yours. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the cover a lot. Did you do all that yourself?
Yeah, it's
Really impressive.
yeah, it's I didn't draw it. It's AI generated with a lot of editing here. I generated all these assets here and brought all this together, composed it, edited it all together, But and for the time being it works until I can finish up my comics with the real artist and stuff and get the ball rolling, But this is a free series anyway, so why not,
Why not? Yeah.
It's a simple idea. I just needed a boy and into like a dog and a wolf. Specifically, that was one of my main ideas, is like basically a pit bull or a hound like dog, and then he also has a wolf. More of that like differences. They're the same thing but different kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
I just try to layer it all in. But, yeah.
I'm a big fan of like authors leaning into a little bit of the AI for the pictures they need for their covers or anything else. At least if nothing else, give you a frame of reference to kind of start your ideas. Or you start describing what you're visualizing, and then it brings it back, from their language model, what they see. It's like, oh, okay, that's close to what I want to, what I'm seeing in my head. My description is pretty good here.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I describe something, and then it gives me a series of images, and I can kind of like tweak the description and go through it, and you're kind of like refining it in your head. Like it was kind of a very loose idea, but I started getting ideas when I like started thinking of little details. Like, okay, let's do a black wolf. Okay, then you see a series of images, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't think of that little detail. Okay, well, I'll do this kind of dog, and everything just kind of starts like piecing together. And thank you.
Which generator did you use? If you don't mind my asking.
He really trips over
say again?
trying to get this.
Which generator did you use, if you don't mind my asking?
Oh, Midjourney.
Midjourney? Okay. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
No, you're not done.
I'm being fed berries.
Hold on, you guys.
I guess
This is what
Move your head.
this is what happens when I talk a lot.
No, it's not. Shut up. Stop telling people or I get annoyed when you talk.
No, she's just being an awesome wife, feeding me berries.
Making us jealous over here.
Yeah. I basically, that's kind of what this cover is, though. Is I was just like working out a concept. You know what I mean? And it's a great tool to do it. And
dude, I don't want to smell your dog.
I like knowing that I'm still supporting real artists. Like, I have 2 artists right now working on comics.
Right.
And I have a lot that is ordered from like Luke Stone, for example. And like Mark has been real awesome too. He's already got a couple pages into A Memory of Mortality. I'm really excited for that. That's the war story. Nice. Currently my only story with guns in it. So that's cool. And he's a veteran too. So, but yeah, the way I look at it is I have been an indie my whole life. I've made so much like music and paid other, indie artists for whatever reason, album art, stuff like that.
Videos.
For over a decade, like most of my life and stuff.
Right.
I can use this as a tool. It's fine. I can use this as a tool because I don't have that human intent that we were talking about earlier, where I'm trying to like undercut somebody else. Like No, contrary to that, actually, anybody who wants to say that I'm doing something wrong here, I'll ask them how many thousands of dollars they've spent on artists in their lifetime, because
Right.
that's what it comes down to. I've supported and continue to support and always will support humans. But I can't turn down a calculator if I need to do some math. You know what I'm saying? So,
I do think there's some more morality that needs to be hashed out with AI, but a lot of that's on the business end, or their end, and the legal end, not so much on the user's end.
yeah, I agree. And you can tell when people are being malicious with it. We've all heard the stories of like the, I call them AI authors. They'll have like ChatGPT write stories for them, and then they'll just generate like comic images, or even the best market is children's books. Because
I've heard that.
I don't know if you noticed, but like me asking this Midjourney to do like a little boy in animal furs, you know what I mean? I didn't really give it that crazy of a description, but it gave me the perfect thing I was imagining in my head after a few rolls. And I think it's because it has like a better idea of like kids, oddly enough. Like,
makes sense. With people using it a lot for that, makes sense.
Yes, so many people are like generating kids stories, right? And it's because it's so easy. Like, there's less detail. For example, you can just emulate Disney as another example, and you can pump out these really simple kids stories and like literally publish 20 books a month. How do you not make money if you're flooding the market like that? You know what I mean?
True.
And they're not even real authors. They're just like normal people, don't even know how to write. They'll just like
put in the idea and boom. What do you feel about that, Brian? You said you wrote a kids book, didn't you?
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna see if I can share my screen and see if this works. I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
Share screen. Let's see if I do window. All right, cool. So let me know if you can see the collection that is not the background. So this was all the work I put into building a children's book.
Wow.
So you see I build models of the young boy in various poses, various scenes I built. I did all this in Photoshop and shape generators. Had backgrounds. So I went through all of this to kind of create the story. This took, weeks, and then I got the outline written here, and I've got like different versions of it, different formatting. So while this took weeks to do, this an AI can pump this out like in an hour.
Yeah.
But even less than that sometimes.
Yeah, you won't get the level of detail you get out of this, but
stop crying.
Bro, I will beat your little ass, dude.
The dogs are growling. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, so this is kind of what a children's book involves. That's of quality, I would say. You have, as I would say, more effort as far as total containers than you have in a normal book. If I go, let's do one of my novels here. Like, here's the Oliver book, but like the actual book itself is just on the PDF. It's all it is now. There's not a whole lot. I went through stuff when I was doing the book cover, going through ideas and playing through different generations. Like, here's the pistol I started with, and I photoshopped it to this pistol, and all these things that took weeks and weeks and weeks to do, AI can do like in an hour now. So I guess it's more about intent than anything else. Because there's certain skills that authors or even like designers don't have. Even the flip side, if you're a fantastic artist, but you can't write a story, AI can help you get that story started at least.
And then you're an artist, so at least you can go through it and like give your creative feedback, tweak it around. Now you have a story for the imagery that you want to paint, or whatever you are as an artist. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You know what I mean?
I'll be honest. Like this picture of this LeBaron here, I don't own that LeBaron. It's just a picture I had. I edit the picture. I put it into the book as one of the chapter lead outs, because that model of car is mentioned in the book. And I use Photoshop to make it black and white and make enough changes where it becomes my photo now. That process is probably not a whole lot different than what AI is doing on a lot of things. So it's just taking out going in and doing the Photoshop and editing it enough to make it your own picture out of it.
A lot of people will do that with Oh, I'm sorry. A lot of people will do that with like book covers too. You'll get like the stock image book covers are covered made out of stock images and whatnot. Kind of similar ideas as that.
Which is fine. You paint the stock image and you just edit it. Like the picture of the pistol here. It's just like a open source Webley Fosbury pistol. But that's not what I want the book, so I edit it to this picture here.
I'm going to do a tarot and oracle deck, and I was, asking for artists, and then because my idea was there's 78 cards in a tarot deck, so I was gonna have these artists do 1 to 5 images, and it's just like, I'm not paying you. We're doing this to promote all of these indie artists, which would be a lot, and that's a lot of promotion if all of these artists, like, hey, I'm on this deck, buy it, and we're all promoting it. And of course they'd get like royalties under a contract. Like I told them that. And these motherfuckers, every single artist, all they do is like waifu. That's it.
Waifu anime.
Like, and you can't even tell if it's AI or not.
Yeah.
And they're charging ridiculous prices. And I'm like,
that was pretty eye-opening.
And then they say they do it for free. And then they're like, wait, so is this paid? And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what did I tell you?
Pay attention.
So it's like, I'm just going to make it with AI. Fuck it.
Well, you can do a starter deck for sure.
And write the book. And then my oracle deck, I'll commission an artist and probably a comic artist, to be honest.
Yeah. And somebody who's
definitely.
Good. Yeah.
I'm just so tired of it.
But it's a great starting point. That's the other thing about AI. Not to make this all about AI, but like it's a great starting point for people.
Well, I mean, I've done so many free shoots to build my book, and then I've done free shoots when I didn't need to as favors for people. So it's a good business decision for a lot of reasons. So I think it's really stupid of these people to pass up on it. Honestly,
I did
get their name out.
I did free guest vocals back in the day. I remember doing that and all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, you play shows like for gas money, stuff like that. Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Author submitting a short story for free to a magazine or something, saying, "Hey, feature my work, please." I'll get paid for it, but you get your name out there, you get exposure.
Ideally, you do want to get paid. I don't want to like promote one idea over the other or say something superior, but there's advantages to everything, it's all to each their own, but I personally, if I was a good artist and just kind of like making a name for myself, there's a lot that are out of country. I noticed that are like trying to dip into the American market a little bit, and I don't blame them, just because of the currency difference, for example. Like maybe a few of them would benefit from just like getting on like a free deck or something, and then even getting like X amount of royalties after the fact. There's still, I mean, I know it's an investment or whatever, but if you got time to kill and you're a good artist that can pump it out and just kind of, I don't know, it's essentially pinup work, right? It would just be like a card, an image on a card. And tarot cards are pretty simplistic.
Can you help me? I'm not like feeling well at all. My back hurts so bad I'm like sweating. So I think I'm just gonna lay down.
Okay.
Dip early.
Right.
You can wrap this up. I'll see you guys later.
Do you want to tell people where they can find you?
No, you can do that, Andy. And I do it on every episode. Like, I don't care.
They got here. They'll find it.
All right. Nice to see you guys.
See you.
Likewise.
Have a good night.
All right. And now the after hours.
I'm going to share something else with you. I think your wife mentioned waifu. Pretty funny.
They were all about that, man.
So the first picture I'm going to share is actually Melissa from the novel, as described by the novel. And then if I want to advertise and make sales, I do Melissa waifu version.
Waifu Melissa, yeah.
Same character, basically the same outfit, but like you can see.
I saw your would you like to know more?
This is the one I use.
That had the chat going nuts, man.
Yeah. I'm working with the artist. I'm like, hey, let's make the characters realistic and here's the description. And we went back and forth several times. I was like,
Mhm.
you know, I want to get some attention just on the market. Let's just make her, but like sexy. And like I sent her like some pictures, like kind of like this. And he said, "Is this?" I was like, "Yeah, you went overboard. That was great."
Yeah, you went overboard. That's great.
That was way more than I expected. I was like, "This will work."
Well, your little what's it called? Test. I'll just call it your little test today. Proved that market test. That's what I'm thinking. Your market test. It proved that it works. So.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's almost sad that's what works, but that's just what works. Whether it's sad or not, like this won't get the attention that this will get on the same marketplace. So
yeah. And even though the first one is literally designed that way for a reason, right? I'm sure that all conveys her character. Like,
well,
even
she's
the way
realistic, like proportionally.
Yeah.
Very attractive.
Second.
You know, but you know, this is not a realistic proportion or healthy or
yeah. Well,
very waifu-ish.
Yeah.
But, you know.
It comes down to like kind of what we were talking about earlier. Can't remember specifically. It was about like people judging things by the cover. Like, they'll just see something cool and jump at it, and that's what made me kind of like start delving into kind of taking these covers a little bit seriously. Because like at first I was like, okay, I can't afford anything. I'm gonna need to do AI, and so I just kept it as simple as possible because of that. I was like, planet on the front, moon on the back. There we go. That's it. But I'm realizing lately that is super okay. So like I get why I did it, but in hindsight, I'm realizing that that's kind of disingenuous to consumers, just people shopping, right? Like, let's say you two are shopping around. It doesn't matter. Like, I could have the greatest book in the world. It doesn't matter if you don't know what it's about based on the cover.
Exactly. If I look at it and I'm like, this is what this is, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it or not.
I have a planet on the front, moon on the back. That's it.
Right.
What does that tell you? Nothing. Yeah.
Maybe a sci-fi. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe a sci-fi.
And if I'm scrolling through how many hundreds of thousands of books through Amazon, like I'm probably seeing a tiny image on there, and your cover has to tell me, "Hey, I want to look at this."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's what your cover is.
And I'll share it again, but my new cover has like elements of my story to it, man. It's like, geez, it's
I also
like
sent you waifu Alessa, just kind of throw that in there.
I don't have a waifu version of my cover, not yet. I'll just pull up the
as
card.
easy as KDP makes it. You can do just a waifu cover on one and do the exact same story another one and see which one sells better. Just out of curiosity.
You totally could. And I want to hear your guys' opinion on this. I was asking a few people. I started delving into these covers after I realized that, like what I was just describing. But I kind of realized with how easy KDP makes it, I literally could, because my first book is a collection of short stories. Each short story is like as long as it can be while still being considered a short story. Mm-hmm. So like the shortest it gets is like 8.5 thousand words. You know what I mean? Which means I can publish that as a short book technically, and it's free. So I started thinking, why don't I do that to have a lower price point? Right. But there's all kinds of logistics to be brought up with that. And I totally could do that in the future because it's free to publish. But
true. You got to consider things like audience, who reads each short stories versus who's going to read a collected work like that.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up audience. That's actually the first thing Daniel P. Riley brought up. He was like, yeah, it's not a terrible idea if you have audience.
Right.
If you have audience. He was like, if your goal is customer development, like basically growth, if your goal is growth, then putting a price point there isn't necessarily going to help that, even if it's a cheaper price point, because you compare that to other price points of other certain lengths of books and stuff. So that's why I'm pursuing the free story route, because that helps develop growth, and I still have my anthology that I can pump out short stories with, which will eventually turn into comics, because short stories are easier to develop into a comic than a novel.
Oh yeah.
See that?
The first Game of Thrones novel, for example, is 4 graphic novels that are over 100 pages.
I believe it.
4 of them. So
Lots
yeah,
of food pictures.
yeah. And I can't even imagine how long that took to like do all that, and just he probably didn't really weigh. He probably didn't weigh in as much as he could help it, honestly, and I don't blame him. But here's that. I pulled it up. So like
Much better. Yeah.
Yeah, this has like the characters. Like I have, there's 3 major races in my world. You know, I have these 3 races represented in the foreground here.
Right.
By now, I got kind of decent with the font and stuff, but that's still my weakest point. I actually am lucky here and cleverly using the moon to make it stand out, because like when you look at the other ones, all my font is against just the plain white. And that's just because that's the style I'm going with, because I don't really know. I'm still learning,
Right.
But at least this tells you about the story. You can see it's fantasy. It's not sci-fi like you were saying,
Right, right, definitely.
Yeah, and even the tree roots in the background. That happens in the first story, like on page 1 or 2. That's relevant right there. So like there's immediate payoff with this book cover for people who actually do get it.
Right.
And just a disclaimer, this is actually the business card. I didn't want to dig any more on my computer for the cover.
Fair enough.
But yeah, even the dude in green here is like an enemy soldier. The guy on the horse is a recognizable character. He's one of the Knights of Ash, and then you got one of the 3 of each race in the front. The dude on the left is the reanimated soldier from story number 2, and the dude on the right is meant to be the protagonist of story number 3. But yeah, I digress. It's
Are these like separate stories, or are they all tied together somehow?
They're all completely separate, different time periods. They all have their own theme, same world, same magic system. I'm trying to show you examples of like the magic and like the cyclical nature of this world and stuff like that, So it's kind of like Twilight Zone.
Okay.
It's Earth every time, you know what I mean? But different crazy scenarios.
Right, right.
I'm going to catch up on Tim Allen here real quick. So let's see here. He was loving all the art. Let's see.
Right on.
He says your demon looks like Sunspot from New Mutants.
All right. I'm not entirely too familiar with a lot of Marvel comics, unfortunately, aside from like the main stuff. But
yeah, same actually. Are you familiar, McCoppin?
Sunspot now.
No,
and I know Don Draw stuff's very familiar with that stuff, so he may have taken some inspiration there.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
The benefit of hanging out with comic artists, you get some cool art.
You got some pretty dope pictures too. Like I'm jealous of both of you guys for having like real artists here. I mean, I got mine, but I can't like show you anything like as much as I'd love to.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Literally, I can't. Like it's more than I literally can't. So Sunspot looks dope. I'm gonna pull up. I think this is a good one. I'm unfamiliar, but I'll just pull this one up here. And he's right. Your demon kind of looks like it. It's trying to change my name again, which I actually probably should because Katie's gone.
All right, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so that's yeah, I could see that 100%. But like still different enough, you know, like way different actually, but
Right.
and I think he said what the hell when I scrolled past abortion.
That's a lot of people's reactions. That's a huge amount of people's reactions. So the
Right.
guy that originally drew it, his name's Sim. There's a lot of good stuff on there, but he has a colorist that works for his comics. But his colorist was like, I wouldn't touch that. He's like, no.
I think he said that looks freaking cool to McCoppin, and Harris said nice at that time. Looks Lovecraftian. I'm guessing that was with mine, with the tentacles. Yeah. And then we were talking about layers. Oh, Michael Harris, y'all who have visuals in your head are weird.
Oh, I remember him talking about that.
Yeah, yeah. On our last stream, he was talking about how he actually can't visualize things like that in his head. He's very much a blueprint guy. Follow the blueprint.
I can't fathom not visioning things in my head.
Yeah, it was fascinating listening to him talk about it, honestly.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting how different so many people can be, and the fact that he's a writer despite that, it's what's really interesting. It's
yeah, it's like you got to visualize that shit.
Or to me, obviously he doesn't. That's the interesting part.
Yeah, it's fascinating, actually.
Yeah,
completely.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sex sells.
That's true. Well, speaking of, I sent you a message of waifu Alessa. Could you bring that up?
Oh yeah. Let's see here. Oh, waifu. Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, there it is. Let's see here. Oh no, I'm trying to invite waifu Alessa. I'm trying to share, not invite her to the stream.
That could be interesting. But...
Yeah. I always thought it'd be cool to like sit down with your own protagonists or even villains.
Sure. Yeah, that's a waifu.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And now, is she using a specific type of magic here?
Can't really talk too much about what she does. It's a little bit spoilery. I can tell that in the beginning of the book, she can't really use magic very much, and so she has to figure out a different way. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's the point of the book. She's like, I think one of the first things you said about her is she's seeking out to learn magic, basically.
Correct.
Yes. So,
but she's kind of in the beginning. She's kind of proven that they find out she doesn't really have any aptitude. Has to go a different direction, basically.
Nice.
I think my headphones just died. So.
Oh yeah. Have at it. Do your thing. McCoppin, with your story, you said it was in a real world, and you know, without spoiling too much, is it historical fiction, historical fantasy?
No, it's the main storyline. I mean, it takes place in the year 2013 and on our planet.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So
cool.
Not a whole lot of mystery there. There are some real life events that I pull from around that time period and our characters interact with. So when you're reading through it, you're like, this sounds like something that happened over here. And that was purposeful. I wanted people to read through the story and be like, oh yeah. I remember something like that happening. So
yeah.
Not that I'm, trying to take credit or align credence to what caused those events. It's just, it's nice to have that connection for people.
Yeah. They still happened. Yeah. You can highlight something that happened without just like, yeah, I know what you're saying. Some people might like consider like allegory or something, right? But like, if you're just fascinated by an event that happened, it's completely different. You know what I mean? Maybe you just want to write about it.
And the goal of the book itself really is I want people to, when they read it, look at the world a little bit differently. Like I said, I come from a biblical Christian perspective. I want people to say, okay, can a biblical Christian be a flawed but powerful person at the same time? There's too many books out there, Christian-centered books, where it's like this a soft book. The story is kind of like people getting divorced or real life events. And for many men, especially, those books don't appeal to them. So I wanted to create a book that had the violence, but also had the emotional story that a middle-aged man can connect to. There's a reason John Wick is so popular, because we can all relate to our dog being killed and seeking revenge. So if you can find that kind of emotional attention and thread where you can say, when you read through the book, like, man, I had a similar event in my life. I had similar stories. I had similar ideas, similar thoughts. That was kind of the purpose of it. It's actually doing better than I thought it would for that. You saw Kahuna talk about how it brought him to tears when he was reading it, and Evelyn Music talk about it was the favorite book he read this year. So they're my target audience. So them saying those things really means a lot to me.
Was that the one that you sent me?
Probably the audiobook,
the free copy. Yeah.
That's probably it. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I got you, Michael Harris, Sean Rowland, and Black Knight on my roster right now. I got to make my way through all you guys.
It's a good list.
I mean, I work better with audiobooks because of my day job. So I'll probably be able to burn through yours pretty quick. Probably start with yours. But I got Sean Rowland's Bloody Famous book right next to the bed. Me and the wife read a chapter every now and then. It's pretty awesome. Pretty compelling story.
While we're talking about it, I can share this with you then. Let me do this. Let's go here. So you've seen the cover of my book, I'm sure, plenty floating around. Book 2, let me share. I've already shared this other places too, so it's not a big surprise. But so book 1 follows Oliver, who is more of like a cowboy aesthetic. So that book has a cowboy aesthetic to that cover. Book 2 is going to follow a pair of spies. So this is kind of like a dossier, the metal dossier with like the hinges, and the weapon of choice for one of the paladins is the cross knife there. So as I get through the 12 novels, each one is going to represent the aesthetic of that paladin. So we've got the cowboy, I get the spies. When we get to Roland, who's the knight in shining armor, we're gonna have a book much of that. The book after this one is going to follow a medical specialist, so it's going to look like a medical journal. The one after that's going to be a person who grew up in the military, so it's going to look like a military handbook. So it's going to be kind of neat how when you have the whole collection done, you put them on your shelf, they're going to look like a document. That's why I call it the record of the paladins.
Yeah,
it's a recording, a journal of sorts of these persons' lives. And so it makes sense that these books will match the lifestyle they lead.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
So
yeah,
this
I
is my
haven't
first pass of this book.
I don't have that level of 3D chess on mine yet, but I am just still in my debut phase. I'm in my phase 1 here, still trying to figure things out, as I was talking about with the book covers. So
I've learned too, and you'll probably get this with your stories, characters you don't expect kind of start becoming famous. There's a side character who's a pirate in the first book. You'll run across him when you read it. I don't want to ruin too much for you, but so many people love this character, and because I give a little backstory on him, and they said, I want more of him. Give me his story. So I might have to do a spin-off to a non-paladin character just to do his book. So
that's how your world grows, though. Well, there's your first book from a non-paladin perspective.
Yeah,
right. It's a great reason to delve into that too, because what does the rest of the world think of these paladins? You know what I mean? And what's it like for a normal Joe? You know what I'm saying?
Well, he doesn't know about the paladins, but he has a relationship with one of them. I won't ruin too much for you, but
Right.
when I get to that paladin's book, I want to expand that relationship more because it's part of this paladin's development.
Yeah.
I think after that fact, I can go back around to the pirate and say, okay, let's tell his full story from start to finish.
That's cool.
And I might even have him involved in book 12 because he brings assets that they can use. I don't want to spoil too much, but the assets get revealed a little bit in book 1, like how much what he has access to. It's kind of cool.
That's sweet. Wait, so he gets access to more, or
like he's wealthy and he uses his wealth to expand his power, but in positive ways. I don't give too much, but his wealth becomes very evident when you first run across him, like the way he presents himself, the way he appears. And then as our main characters are introduced to him, they're like, wow, this guy's got money. He's got power, he's got influence, he's got money. So
that's cool.
It's
and then making it grow in positive ways.
Yeah.
That's a good way to, I got this pirate this pirate character. Oh, welcome back, C.A.Pence. I got this pirate character.
How's the sound, by the way?
Oh, it sounds fine.
Okay, cool.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Going with just the phone, the headphones just dead.
Yeah, it happens. I got this. I think I might have a similar thing happen with this free series, just because it's going to be more accessible. And really, it's a parade of characters, and they're all not so subtly like a play on words, but also like a moral lesson wrapped up in one. So like, I don't know. When I laid out my first roster of villains, they all had, how do I put this? My world's about people bonding with animals magically, right? And like, you can level up basically. You can keep getting more powerful. The stronger your bond is and stuff.
Oh, progressive fiction sells like crazy.
Say again.
Progressive fiction, like the protagonist gets stronger over time.
Yeah,
that's a hot selling thing. That really is.
That's what this is.
Yeah,
he's starting at like level 1. So
that's huge. Like Will Wright, I mentioned him earlier. The Cradle series is all about his main character developing in the use of it's kind of like martial arts magic is what the story is really about. But like you do a martial art move and magic happens kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But his characters get more and more developed. Or even if you look at most shonen, like the Naruto and Dragon Ball and all those, it's just the protagonist slowly getting stronger.
Yeah.
So it's huge, a huge market for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of recognizing that.
Definitely see a lot of that in my book too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some leveling up.
Oh yeah, huge amount each book.
Oh yeah, that's good. And there's something to be said about iconic characters too, flat arcs. If they're done right, we've all seen the Supermans and the there's just iconic characters like. They're the same no matter what, like Deadpool. Like does he really have an arc? No, he's just always Deadpool. He's just always Deadpool. I mean, I know they've added.
I think he does go through some arcs.
Yeah, I mean,
they break his brain and he forgets he had the arc, and he's
back there. Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah, because they realize Deadpool is just Deadpool. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you can just say whatever character name is just whatever character name, like Superman's just Superman. I mean, I know he has some nuances like with Lois Lane and stuff, and you can add actual arcs into all these iconic characters, but like the point is they are who they are or whatever.
Right.
And I'm trying to dive into that a little bit, look into character archetypes. I'm kind of having fun with the characters themselves because I get to look into like sayings like the Wolf of Wall Street. I just imagine this businessman with like a wolf animal partner, and he's like very wolfish himself, and he's the villain of the week. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Or like the penguin lawyer, just because penguins wear suits. basically, you know, like I just have a lot of fun, you know, I'm going to have a lot of fun. But I also found myself finding like, when I started visualizing the biggest, worst baddies in the world, because like I had, when you're world building the early stages, a lot of it is just like coming up with lists, like names, places, things like that. You create banks, like little word banks for yourself, and a lot of the words that were being chosen for like the big bad guys, the major ones, I realized started kind of like aligning with like the 7 deadly sins a little bit. And I happened to have like 6 of them already. So I was like, holy shit. So I like looked a few things up and I was like, oh wow, there's already animals tied to that. And I chose a couple of them on accident, you know, and I just kind of like refined the idea from there. And I was like, okay, I can go with this. So if there's 7 deadly sins, oh, look at this, a list of the 7 virtues. Well, imagine that. I need recurring characters. I need people to teach my, you know, my boy protagonists some good moral lessons and be good examples of, you know, mentors, so to speak. So yeah, then I got to have fun coming up with 7 virtuous people and their animal companions, and it became kind of wholesome, and I got to imagine them. Doubling back to the whole point of why I'm even talking about this, one of them's a pirate. Okay, and
the virtuous guy.
Say again.
One of the virtuous is a pirate.
Yeah.
Okay.
The virtuous characters are going to be like the recurring mentor-like ones, right? And like he represents charity. He's the pirate that represents charity in a very Robin Hood kind of way.
Okay.
So yeah, nothing too complicated there. He's gonna teach the boy a lesson about charity, because he's going to be doing the right thing in a piratey way, right? But my original idea.
Share alike.
Say again.
Share and share alike.
Yeah. But like people who deserve, like greedy people that are like bad people. I don't know. Like you steal from them and then you give to like poor people.
Kind
like
of Robin Hood sort of.
Yeah, very Robin Hood. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I want people to kind of have that familiar Robin Hood feeling. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna one for one him, you know, but
right. Inspired by.
Yeah, Robin Hood, it's an archetype, like the thief that steals from the rich and gives to the poor. It's classic, you know. But what originally made me even think of this pirate was the visual of a person who has magically bonded with a turtle. And like imagine you're just like a merchant vessel, or like slaver or something. You're a bad guy out on the ocean, another pirate, right? You're another pirate. And you're on your ship and you just see this dude standing on top of the water. He's just standing there, just like this, just standing right on the water in the middle of the ocean. And then he just starts moving towards your boat on the surface of the water without walking. He's just standing there. And I just imagine he's standing on the back of this turtle and the turtle swimming along. And it's so intimidating because he's just standing there. And it's this, I just imagine it's this massive turtle. He cracks open the ship like an egg and eats all the treasure. And then they go regurgitate it up and give it to poor people. Spoilers.
Interesting.
But I don't know how many episodes in that is. That's just an idea I for sure want to do down the line. But
sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a feeling that's going to be my pirate that people will be like, we want to see more of him. As McCoppin was saying. Pence, do you have a character that you're writing that you think people like? McCoppin was saying that there's going to be characters in our stories that become popular without us anticipating it. Is there one that you kind of have a hunch is a sleeper?
Yeah, so I had a few people alpha read my story already, and almost everyone likes Zep. He's the half demon I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
He's just he's your mischievous character.
Yeah.
So he's always playing pranks and just making jokes and all that stuff, and everyone liked him.
The trickster.
Yep, basically your trickster.
Yeah, you need the trickster.
Oh yeah.
I don't know who I would use. I haven't thought of a trickster yet. I just kind of got my like mentors / virtuous people, and then like the bad guys, and of course like a 30 word word bank of just sayings like Wolf on Wall Street and Loan Shark, and like I don't know. Each of them is a spoiler, honestly, because I could just pull it out at any point. But like, yeah.
Well, the cool thing about like subtle things like that is even if they're technically a spoiler out of context, we have no idea what that means. So
it's not written
going to
yet.
show up in your book.
Yeah, it's not even written yet. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah. Like I've shared on Twitter, I've shown people like the last line of my book, and without the context, the rest of the book doesn't make any sense. So a lot of that stuff needs that context. It's kind of
it's kind of the fun of it too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I ended up making let's see. I think the animal symbol for gluttony is a pig. Obviously.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have an idea for a play on the Three Little Pigs for maybe one of the episodes in the Big Bad Wolf.
Right.
You know, but so yeah, so I didn't want to like use a pig outright, and I ended up making gluttony the whale shark, quote unquote, is the name of the character right now. The whale shark, and it's a play on words because he's a big fat guy with a shark companion. He's a whale shark with an insatiable appetite. Yeah, I'm already seeing, you know, classic pirate stuff going on there with the whale shark. But yeah, you can see kind of how these ideas are just kind of like falling out of my mind. I spent all day just kind of like having fun with it, you know, making this art and stuff. And
you gotta go. That's how it starts.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm gonna call it a night. It's 2 a.m. here, so I gotta.
Oh, brother.
Can't do much more.
Brother, I appreciate you sticking around. It's 1 a.m. for me.
Fun.
Yeah, it was a good stream.
I'm a morning guy anyway, so I need to get going.
Real quick though, Pence, do you got anything going on longer, Pence, or should we all call it good here? We're good.
My battery's just about to die, so probably should call it a quits now too.
Okay, McCoppin, since you said something first, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, and then we'll have Pence go.
So social media, anywhere. I'm Brian McCoppin, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all the above. If you have interest in my stories that are my stories, not my ghostwritten stories, thepaladinbooks.com is where most of my stories are. All my other ghostwritten stuff, it's all over the place. So there's no websites for most of them. It's just usually people to say, I want the story written and help them out. So
that's awesome, brother. What about you, Pence?
All right. You can find me on Twitter at FantasyCAPence. And then my website at asdenstudios.com, spelled ASDEN studios.com. That's pretty much the main place you're going to find me right now. I'm going to try to build up other things, but that's all in the works.
Yeah, I didn't realize you weren't published yet. That's like you've got quite an impression so far in the community for somebody who, you know, I felt like I needed to publish to get reviews. But, you know, I won't go on talking again. Otherwise, we'll flare the podcast back up. But you can find me, AC Pritchard, on Twix as well, A_C_Pritchard, and also on Amazon, Amazon.com/author/AC Pritchard. You can pick up Mortal Descent. It directly funds the comic. For the time being, and keep your eyes peeled for Spirit Animals because it'll be free.
Nice.
And, it'll be my ongoing level up anime style, all ages. So appreciate you guys sticking around.
Well, thank you for having us on.
Good to be on.
Yeah, it was fun having you guys.